So, hello, Leo listeners. Welcome to another interview with me, Carver from Leo Listening, and a special guest. In this case, it is Peter from the website Rhino Spike, where you can get audio recordings in any language, including English. So I've brought Peter on, obviously, because he is clearly interested in listening. If he has a whole website full of native generated listening content. So Peter, do you want to add to that brief introduction and tell us a bit more about yourself?
Okay. So yeah, my name is Peter. Like you said, I'm from the United States. I live in the Dallas, Texas area. And many of your listeners or viewers are learning English. That's correct, right?
Exactly, yes.
So my accent is not really a Texas accent. I grew up all around the country, so I settled down here.
Okay.
So
where do you have like somewhere you consider your hometown, or?
I used to say it was San Diego, California, but I've been here in
Right.
Texas so long now that Texas is my home.
Okay. You're just missing the cowboy hat.
Right. Yeah, it took about 10 years before I decided it was okay to say y'all.
Okay. That sounds very, very Texan. Yes, just to come back to what you said, yeah, most people here are learning English, but I know that I have a few subscribers who are like learning other languages, because sometimes they write to me and tell me, oh, I'm learning French, or I'm learning Spanish, or you only do English, don't you? So I think this will also be good for them because, well, we'll get more into Rhino Spike and what it is, but yeah, it's not just English audio, it's also multiple languages, I guess.
It's we like to say it's every language you can think of. There's always a language that's missing, and if someone requests it, we'll add it without question, really. So yeah, the Rhino Spike, the way it works is when you log in, you generally are looking for audio in the language you're learning.
Right.
And there's a ton of recordings on there already, but often what you want is something for some material you're already studying, but you do not have audio for it. You just have, a textbook that didn't come with a CD, or you're reading a news article, but you really want to hear how the language sounds. So what you do is I'm sorry. So what you do is you upload your text in that language that you're studying, and somebody who's a native speaker of that language can record it for you. And likewise, you can record for people who are learning your language. And that's actually the way to kind of get your request prioritized, is by doing more recording.
All right. So it's like a community-based thing based on kind of give and take. So you make a request, but like you say, you have advantages if you also record for someone.
Absolutely.
Okay. So did you decide to create that through your own experiences learning languages? Like, did you think there was a lack of listening material out there? What's the origin story of Rhino Spike?
So what happened is my friend Thomas and I, we started to learn Spanish, and it was this exact situation. We were learning online from things we saw, but there wasn't, at the time, this was like 2009, 2010. YouTube was out, but we didn't really think of that as a language learning resource at the time. And there was not a whole lot of audio online for us. And what happened is a friend of us who had learned Spanish already had recorded some sentences for us so we could hear what they sound like. And it was like the light bulb clicked, like, this is really cool. We really need something like this. And so we built Rhino Spike.
Okay, interesting. All right. So yeah, well, it's like many of these things, it comes from like, you realize there's something missing, and it comes out of your own need. Okay, interesting. Do you speak any other languages apart from Spanish?
Um, yeah, well, sort of. My Spanish is all right.
Yeah.
I was learning German for a little while,
Mm,
but it's been a couple of years and I let it get quite rusty.
okay.
So when we were in Berlin, we met a couple weeks ago in Berlin,
Mm,
and while I was there, I was having a lot of trouble just even ordering coffee, things like
right.
that. But on the last day I was there, I had to get an Uber, and the driver was a Palestinian. He'd been in Germany a long time. He spoke German very well, but he did
Hmm.
not really speak English. So so I had to communicate using German, and it was kind of funny how when I had to do it, it just started to flow, and
Mm,
it wasn't perfect, it wasn't fluent by any means, um, but there I was having a conversation with this driver, telling him where I'm from, asking where he's from, all that kind of stuff.
awesome.
And so it's kind of amazing how you can learn a language and then do nothing for a couple of years, and it doesn't take much to bring it back.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, well, I've had to use my German from school, which is very old, before in Germany, and I was amazed at what came. I mean, obviously, it's very basic, but yeah, sometimes when you need it, your brain kicks in and, and
Yeah,
comes, and figures it out for you. Okay, all right, that's cool. That's a good experience. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that we did meet in Berlin. But it was we were in quite like an English speaking context.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess Berlin is so international that you can easily go there and never speak any German, even if you live there, which
But it
sounds,
helps quite a lot. I
it
mean, it's
helps,
not.
probably helps. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there's that stereotype that everybody in Germany speaks English, and it's really not true. Many of the young people I find do speak English well, but
hmm,
uh, like if you get on the bus, typically the bus driver does not speak English.
yeah. So yeah, you have to know at least a little bit of German. Yeah, I agree, and especially if you want to, go somewhere outside of Berlin. We live a couple of hours away from Freiburg in the southwest of Germany, so like that's very much. It's not to denigrate, but it's provincial Germany. I live in provincial France. People's language skills are not incredible here, and it's the same thing if you go to a similar sized city in Germany. No, not everybody speaks English.
Right.
Yeah, like you say, younger people, but yeah, definitely the older generation, like, they don't speak English, they don't speak French, even though, they're quite close to France. So yeah, a bit of German helps. Anyway, we digress on the topic of do you have a lot of German recordings on Rhino Spike? Is it a popular language?
German is a popular language.
Okay.
English is our most popular, but I think German is in the top five.
Okay, awesome. All right, interesting. So, why should we care about listening skills when learning a language? People know that I care, but I want to hear other people talk about it so that it really goes into people's brains.
Right. So why is it important? Let's say that for most people, I think they want to be able to speak to people. That's their motivation for learning a language.
Mm,
There are the few who are just interested in like literature or I don't even know. But even if it's just I really like this TV show in this language, um, that that's all listening.
mm,
It seems to be the most important skill, and at least for me personally, it's one of the hardest to build up.
mm.
Um, I find that it's very easy to learn to read and pick up language that way. Um, but listening, it takes time. It,
Mm.
it all takes time, but listening, especially for me.
Okay. All right, cool. That's a nice, succinct answer. I like that. All right, maybe a bit more difficult. Why should we listen? So a lot of listening comes down to resources, right? Everybody's like, oh, what should I listen to? What's the best thing
Right.
to listen to? So in your case, people are creating basically, they're taking texts, reading them aloud. So
Yes.
why should we listen to that kind of material as opposed to podcasts, YouTube videos, TV shows? Like, are there some advantages to listening to texts read aloud by native speakers?
We should listen to, I mean, whatever interests you, whatever will keep you listening, whether that's TV or podcasts or music. The advantage of using RhinoSpike to get whatever text you're studying or interested is that exactly this is something you're interested in. You know, people are interested in the news, or they're interested in you know, they write like a journal entry or a blog or something, and they want to actually hear it, or maybe they want to practice what they're going to say, and so they'll put that on RhinoSpike and have someone record it. Or, you know, sometimes it is just, you know, textbook dialogue, and that's what's interesting you at the moment. That's what you want to learn.
Okay, so it's like there's that flexibility of taking absolutely anything that's
For sure.
that's written. Okay. And yeah, I like that point you made about, like, I remember when I was learning Spanish at university, I had to learn it basically from zero in a year, so it was very intensive. Wow. Yeah, but I mean, I signed up for it, you know. I wanted because I like learning languages, and I was like, I know French. I think I could learn Spanish quickly, and especially because at school, basically, we didn't do very much for many years in French, and I always had the feeling that, like, I could learn this faster because I'm really motivated and I'm good at it and I like it. Anyway, so yeah, during that period, I remember during the holidays, one of our Spanish teachers said, oh, you know, you should, like, keep a diary and send it to me and I'll correct it. So, like, I remember, I don't know how to say it anymore in Spanish, but I remember talking about, like, going rollerblading, like, during the holidays, because we had where I used to live in England, there was like we lived by the river, and there was a good stretch of, like, path, like smooth path for rollerblading. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so I remember, like, writing these diary entries, and she corrected them for me. But yeah, so I guess that's an example of kind of like user-generated content that people would choose to have read aloud by a Spanish speaker.
Yeah, that's the perfect kind of stuff, because it's got the words you're interested in learning, like rollerblading. It's got context from your life, and so writing it down and then being able to hear it, that's just going to do wonders for your memory, for that vocabulary.
Very true. Do the native speakers correct it, or do they just record as is?
So the native speakers do have the option to correct it and then record how they feel it should be recorded. Okay.
All right, but they don't have to do it.
They don't have to. It's nice when they do. At least
I can imagine. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, depending on what people prefer, if they really want to be sure to have something accurate, they might have to send it, you know, ask someone to correct it. Well, I suppose in my case, there was a teacher correcting it, so in theory, the writing was, correct after.
Yeah, and you can get it corrected on RhinoSpike, but I know some people will use other sites, like they'll use Lang8, which I don't believe is accepting new users anymore for some reason.
Oh.
And I think Italki has something available too.
It
in addition to finding teachers.
Yeah, I've corrected stuff on there for students. Yeah, they do have a function where you can upload. But I guess with these things, it's always at your own discretion, because you don't always know exactly who's correcting it. But anyway, it's still good to have these, like, free options, I guess. Okay, and so just another, like, kind of technical question I guess I had. Did you, like, when the native speakers read aloud the text, like, do you ask them to do it in a particular way, like a sort of newsreader style, or just kind of natural, or you know, do you give them some? I'm thinking of the French word here. Do you give them, like, some directions on how to do that?
So we don't on the site specifically, but when you are putting together your request with your text, there's a space to put a note, and that very often people use that to say, please record this slowly, or please put a pause between each sentence, or sometimes they'll request two speakers because it's a dialogue.
Okay.
I don't know how often those get fulfilled, because most of the people recording it, they're just by themselves. But, sometimes people also ask for a specific accent, like, I really want to hear an Irish accent here. Things like that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's easier for English, where you've probably got a lot of, options.
Right.
Maybe for other languages that might be more tricky. I don't know.
Well, for sure, with English, it's the most popular learned language on our site, and it is also the most common native language for our users.
Okay, the users who request.
Right, I think it's like 40% of our users are native English speakers.
Okay.
Which is really good if you're wanting to learn English. If you're learning a more obscure language, it's sometimes a little more difficult to get your audio in a timely manner. But
I think I had a look at the list, and right at the bottom, I think there was a request in Basque.
Yeah.
Euskara. I think that was probably Gareth. Gareth Hopkins.
I wouldn't doubt it.
So I can understand. Yeah, if you're learning Basque, you can't be too picky about I want two voices, and I want a female aged 65, and I want this. And
right. Yeah, I'm learning Serbian right now, and that's my exact situation. Is I can't be choosy at all.
Okay. You just have to take what you can.
Yeah, I would love to get more Serbians. So if you speak Serbian, come sign up, and I could use some recordings.
That's your request to the world.
Yes.
For writers. Well, you have to ask. I'm sure people would be happy to help if it's their native language or a language they know. Actually, speaking of that, do you have to be a native, or if you have a good level in a language and you want to help out? What happens there?
It all depends on what you say your native language is when you sign up.
Okay.
You can say your native language is or whatever, and then you can record for that language. But I think people will point out pretty quickly if it's obvious that you're not. There are some languages like Latin or Esperanto where, more than likely that is not your native language, but I think it's acceptable, if you speak it to a good level, to go ahead and say it's a native language so that you could record in that language.
Yeah. Well, I suppose for something like English as well, it could be interesting to have a variety of accents, even non-native speaker accents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's the context a lot of people find themselves in, is they're going to be interacting with other. I don't like the word non-native. It doesn't sound very nice, but other people whose first language isn't English. So I don't know. That's an idea.
Oh, I can absolutely see. So around here in the Dallas area, there are a lot of people who've come from India, and they speak English in an Indian way, and I don't. They seem to be pretty fluent, but they're still sometimes hard to understand. At least for many Americans, they're very hard to understand. I can definitely see the benefit of having a lot of Indian English speakers, recording themselves just to get that listening practice, to get used to their way of speaking.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know a lot of people who have to work with Indians or interact with them. So, and Indian English is its own variety. I mean, obviously, mutually intelligible. Of course, it's not like a completely different language or anything. But I hear this. Some people they're not used to the Indian accent, basically, because unfortunately, in the world, the priority is American English is the one that dominates, and sometimes we forget, about the other varieties. Even with British English, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't understand British people," but it's just because they're so used to hearing American English because it's the dominant variety. But there's actually, so many countries where English is the native language, or it's one of the main languages of the country. So like, it's normal for there to be lots of different types of English that could be useful to listen to. But yeah, okay, all right, that's interesting. There's a lot of Indian people in Dallas. I wouldn't have imagined that, but
Yeah, I think some of it is many of them work in IT. And,
right.
So,
Okay, interesting, cool. Makes it more international then. Which is not what we imagine in Dallas, really.
no.
I just think of the TV show, which is obviously a very reductive way to look at Dallas. So, just in terms, I think I can answer this question myself. But do you have to have a particular level to use? Like, if you're learning a language, I guess Rhino Spike is accessible to like all levels, from beginner to advanced.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the difficulty of the text you upload is whatever you want it to be. It's whatever you're interested in. We have everything from people putting in just basic vocabulary words.
Okay. All right. It can just be words.
Yeah, it can be just words. I personally think it's better if you have sentences, but at the very beginning, hello, goodbye, thank you, you're welcome, please. Those are important, and it's important to be able to say them and to hear them.
Okay. And then I guess people can, because of it, I mean, you could put words into an online dictionary with audio, but I guess the advantage is, you have your actual recording. Do you send them as MP3s? Is that how the format? Or?
Yeah, so we do the recording in the browser. You can upload it yourself if you want to record it a little more professionally, or cut out your mistakes. But we have a very simple recorder that works in the browser. And I think depending on the browser you're using, it comes in different formats, but we always convert it to MP3.
Okay. So you can like stick it on your phone, take it out with you,
right?
Listen to it offline. Yeah. So it's really your personal recording that you can,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. It's definitely an advantage to like just going online and, having to search in a dictionary, or, like you've got it there. So that's kind of cool. All right. Actually, probably the thing that makes me most curious actually is, why is the website called Rhino Spike? Is there a story to that or something?
So I had to answer that question a few times in Berlin. The reason it's called Rhino Spike is because Thomas and I are both terrible at naming things.
Okay.
And we made a big list of really dumb names. And Rhino Spike was the one we settled on.
Okay.
That's really all there is to it.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's not easy. It's not easy to name things. I actually quite like naming things. But yeah. Okay, why not? Well, it's certainly memorable. It doesn't necessarily.
I'm very thankful that it is.
Doesn't necessarily make me think, oh, language learning, or but yeah, it's a name that you're going to remember. Oh, like, what's the name of that site with all the audio? Random Spike. Okay, cool. So do you want to tell us where we can find Rhino Spike, where we can find out more about you, what to do next? Go, tell us.
Okay, so Rhino Spike is at rhinospike.com. It may not be obvious for someone who doesn't speak English natively, but Rhino Spike is RHINOSPIKE. Rhino Spike has a Twitter account. It's Rhino_Spike because someone already had Rhino Spike. Okay. I personally am on Twitter. It's my full name, Peter J. Carroll.
Okay.
And then I'm on Instagram as Peter_Rhino Spike.
Okay. I'll put all the links underneath because that's a lot to remember, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, and so people can come along with any text they have, newspaper article, diary entry, blog post.
Right.
Anything. Okay.
Whatever they're learning.
All right. Awesome. So go try it out. Rhinospike.com. Of course, I will put the links underneath so people can get to them. can get to them easily, can see them easily, go on the website easily. All right, thank you very much, Peter, for this chat and telling us about Rhinospike. And yeah, I hope everyone's excited to try out using it.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.